I don't know. Mexico and Cameroon.
Cameroon is such a dirty team. I'm sorry. Have you watched Cameroon?
No.
Like, they played against Croatia, and this guy from Croatia, he's doing a throw-in, and the guy from Cameroon just, like, pushes him in front of the linesman. But the linesman can't do shit because he's not a ref. He's just a linesman.
The guy in Uruguay bit the Italian player.
That's the second time he's bit somebody.
Third time, sorry. Third time he's bitten someone.
People have won.
See, the thing is, I'm pretty sure when he was a kid, he got made fun of for like the beaver teeth he has. So he's like, "Oh, I have beaver teeth," so he started biting people when he was a kid. I'm pretty sure he never left him.
He said apparently the chances of him biting someone are good enough that someone actually bet on it, and he won $900.
$1.
Some guy from Switzerland.
There's like
some guy from Switzerland.
Anyway, I was watching that Croatia game, and it wasn't even only that. This one guy from Cameroon, the ball isn't anywhere near these two people. There's a guy from Croatia in front of him, and the guy from Cameroon literally karate chops his back.
I saw that!
He just does this. He fucking karate chops his back, and then it's like, stop play, red card. Like, what the fuck's their problem? They even did it to Brazil. Like, Brazil's up like 3-1, and the captain's like, what the fuck is your problem? There's like 10 minutes left in the game. Why the fuck are you pulling this shit? And the other guy's like, I don't know, because, well, we're fucking Cameroon. They were literally the shit disturbers of the whole World Cup.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
And on that note, I'm Adam like usual, and next to me we got Sean, Matt, Brandon, David, and newcomer Enrico.
Well, technically he's been here once before, but that never went online.
Shut up, Sean.
We should just switch names.
Sean, get out of the room.
We can just do like what's it called? Musical chairs?
It's a bad idea. Anyways.
That's going to be very confusing very quickly.
You're just going to look at me. What are you
I
talking
can't
about?
remember any of your names on a good day anyways. Like, maybe it'll actually disguise it nicely.
Alright. Dave, what have you been playing this week?
We finished Murdered.
Oh, yeah?
Very satisfying ending.
So you like the entire game, or?
Huh?
Do you like the entire game, or?
Other than the constant, the breaks for an hour to just look around for clues, and you're just staring at your feet, looking around the same area for the same amount of clues.
Because you can't find it?
You can't find it because you have to be standing right next to it for it to appear.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Given that you're a ghost.
So you could have been walking by it a dozen times.
That sucks. I heard there was parts where you have to go around ghosts or whatever.
You have to float slowly. Every now and then, usually when you're exiting a level, there'll be demons that appear.
Oh my god.
So wait, hold on.
Do you fight them, or do you have to stealth your way through everything?
It's up to you. You can go up right behind them, and it's tough because you have to crawl up behind them, and there's a button combination to kind of exercise them.
Yeah.
Ghosts have button combination?
Yeah, but it's different every time. So you're always expecting it to be something, and then it's not, and then you die.
Oh, yeah.
So the alternative is just to avoid them, and there's kind of, throughout the levels, there's residues of previous ghosts or people that have died in that area.
Okay.
And you can teleport from one area to, you can hide in their residue.
That's so weird.
It's just ghosts pissing
and just
themselves
teleport from one to another.
Dogs.
When did this turn into a horror survival game?
I don't know. That's usually what I tend on doing because there's usually a route out of the level by doing that.
Okay. Interesting.
The main story was way shorter than I thought it would be.
Oh, really?
There's so many side quests everywhere.
Okay. Are those their side
what kind of a
cases or
side quest?
You'll just, as you're leading to your level, you'll see a car crashed, and you'll just see your ghost just sitting on the ground,
you think
all freaked out.
Someone cut my brakes. Find out who it was.
You think
pretty much more we haven't started any of them.
Oh, you haven't done any of them.
No.
How long did
That's
it take
why
you
we
to beat
beat
the
it
game
so
then?
quickly. I guess total, maybe 4 hours for the main storyline.
Yeah.
That's all we were doing.
Do you think you'd be more interested to find his own murder instead of stopping to go?
Well, that's what they did.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we did.
Well, I'm just saying in general, you're dead. You should want to solve it instead of going around trying to solve everybody else's.
There might be karmic points, right? I mean, that might play into it as well. I don't know how.
Not at all. It has nothing to do with it. There's little tokens that you find everywhere that kind of help build the history of the city that you're in, Salem.
You're in Salem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like a witch.
Well, no, he's a
ghost. The whole thing's about witches. It's a giant witch hunt.
You? Don't probe him. I'd like to play this game eventually.
It's a big witch hunt. Really, really good.
Just wondering, what was your playthrough time?
He said about 4 hours.
For the main storyline, about 4 hours.
So
not
I'm curious.
taking into account just walking around for over an hour doing nothing.
But
not taking it into account.
Yeah.
So then it would probably take you about 7 hours to get through.
Yeah, about if you don't know where all the clues are, because you only need about 80% of all the clues to actually find.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think if you did all the side quests while doing the main mission, do you think it would have got too repetitive? Do you think like you would have still enjoyed it as much as you did beating it in 4 hours?
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just more of what's good. Yeah, there's at least
Well, minus
a good 10
the
hours.
hour of you standing around looking for clues.
We got to remember too, they're in a collective, so they don't always have to keep repeating stuff. They just give it off to someone else.
Yeah, that's true.
That was good.
That's good. All right, Enrico. So you've been playing Mario Kart 8
Yeah.
constantly.
Well, yeah, constantly. Probably like since I bought the whole bundle.
Yeah. Oh, you bought it with the Wii U.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit!
That's
Wow.
what brought me to the other side of the fence.
Did it come with the new
So what's so good about this Mario Kart? Because like seriously, I haven't really enjoyed one since the N64 one. I guess the GameCube one was good, but
It's more of the same Mario Kart, but like it still feels it feels new. Like it doesn't feel like when you're playing a sports game and you just add new bells and whistles,
You have gliders.
and then you're just like, okay, this is the same game I've been playing.
yeah,
I'm looking at you, MLB The Show.
it's the same. Yeah, but that's a sports game. That's the same every year. But when I saw a trailer for it, it looked like all the levels were a lot more varied and more vertical. More
Yeah.
like
It was
there's a lot more depth to the levels than it was just a straight path.
Yeah, you really get, like, when you're playing the game, like, you really get focused on how the levels move, and when you're moving through the level, like, you're just gliding through the levels or,
Yeah.
like, attacking, and it's very, like, a lot of the gameplay things, they change, like, for example, like, when you're on a vertical or something, and you're crashing into someone, like, you don't stop, like, you're always moving forward. They made it so that, like,
There's less slowdown.
yeah, there's less slowdown, and it's always moving forward, like, even when you fall off a cliff, like, they move you to the nearest forward position,
Okay.
but not to a point where, like, everyone else is, like, you're still in front of the person that was behind you. So, like, you'll still get lapped, but, like, the delay of which
Yeah,
you
it seems a
slow
lot
down-
more fluid then.
Yeah, it's a lot more fluid, and yeah, basically.
3 new weapons. Does the piranha plant act like the banana?
No, it's actually like a boost. You get a boost on it. Like,
Yeah, like
it works as like a defense too. Like,
Okay.
so if someone's shooting a shell at you, it eats the shell and then you get a boost forward.
Oh no.
And like it bites anyone near you and you get boosted forward. So
Cool.
it's best used when everyone is clumped up, and that happens frequently.
Yeah.
Like, you could change from first to like fifth in like a blink of an eye.
From first to last.
Yeah.
Basically.
Sort of a little revelation. I was talking to Adam before the podcast, but it sort of got me thinking a little bit. Why is it that I don't like, not that I don't like Mario Kart, not that I don't like Nintendo games, but what is it about Nintendo that I'm so
Yeah, it
resistant
has.
to? There's a resistance to
Because
it.
it's
I think
Follow
it's more
man.
apathy right now.
No, but it's not even apathy. I think it's...
No,
'cause I was
it's,
talking,
it's a resistance followed man.
there you go. No, I think it's just that I'm not a huge fan of... Mario's always been very functionally sound, right? And so I'm thinking about this a little bit more. I've really liked Hotline Miami, for example, which was a very functional game. But the reason why I liked Hotline Miami was its soundtrack, was its the artistic value of it, right? Whereas I think that maybe I'm speaking for Brandon, but I feel like Brandon and I sort of look at video games a little bit, not from a functional perspective, but from like an artistic perspective, if that makes sense.
No, it's a-
Or not always, or not exclusively, but I'm just like thinking about that now, and like I love Mario Kart, but you're explaining something that's like this incremental change from series to series, and that's just something that doesn't really appeal to me on a game.
I mean,
level.
but-
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead first.
you could go from a car. There's a little thing that you go through.
Oh yeah, I've
that
seen
changes you into a plane.
When I
Go
watch
fly
it,
and then end up as a hoverboat, and then
Yeah.
go back into a car, all like in a few minutes.
It's like Diddy Kong Racing, but you're constantly changing your vehicle instead of in between races.
not to take away from the game, I've actually watched videos of it, and I'm like, this looks amazing. But not the same amazing that I would get from like looking at, for argument's sake, the game that I'm playing this week, Vagrant Story, right? Which is very different. Very
Fuck,
different
sorry.
entirely. Sorry?
Hard,
It is.
fucking very hard.
Let me say this. Whenever a new Nintendo game comes out, there's an insanely high amount of hype, like more so than I see for other games. But again, I'm still hesitant to actually. Again, it's the matter of buying a whole console, because I haven't bought the console yet. It's a matter of buying a whole console versus the actual. The fact is, these games aren't new IPs.
Yeah.
And for me, new IPs are all. It's like a new idea. I mean, let's be honest here. Mario, Link, Metroid. These are all old IPs. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I always like that fresh
Yeah, you want something
aspect.
new. But see, the thing is, if you had the Wii U, would you buy these games?
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, I don't have a Wii U. I don't want to. I don't know. I need like a breakout game that's not an old IP.
I think that the Wii U is perfect to have for places that you go to when you socialize a lot with people. Like Mario Kart is a perfect example. You play this with friends without thinking about it.
That's I guess that's one of the things why I bought the Wii U. I went to when they were promoting it at the go kart place, 500.
Oh yeah, really?
Kart. Yeah, waited like 5 hours to go kart, but
Oh shit!
they let us try the games and everything, and I was when I was playing, it was like, this is really fun to play with other people. I was with my girlfriend over there, and then we were just playing.
Yeah.
And it was fun, and I didn't want to worry about, like, I don't know why, but recently for the games that I play, like I'd rather just have fun with it. Basically, like I can't pay attention to games anymore, like as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I play them, the fun factor, I suppose is what you can call it, is more important to me than, like, if it enriches my
experience.
Yeah.
You know what they should have done? They should have put a little screen inside the go-kart as you were driving, have the remote inside the wheel, and try to make a course that was exactly the same course as in the game. Just so that when you're playing it, you're actually steering in the go-kart in the game in real life.
The course is so fantastic.
Well, that's it. They would know. Like, make a basic course.
It's a simulator. People are like rocking it upside down and throwing
But
up
you
themselves.
would have to stop every time you stop in the game.
I have 2 points to make.
One's a joke. One's serious.
No, they're both serious actually. But like, I mean, look at the 3DS. Like, look at some of the new IPs they brought, and I'm all over them. It's weird how I'm hesitant to buy the Wii U, but for the 3DS, I couldn't give a damn.
Yeah, but there's so many new IPs that they keep coming out with on 3DS compared to on the Wii U. There's like nothing new on there. That's
well, I mean, no, there
stuff.
is. I mean, I'm not very informed about. I don't choose. I guess inform myself. I was thinking of that.
But that's not out yet.
Yeah, or like Wonderful 101, but like I don't see the hype. The hype versus.
I like it.
The hype versus what's that name of the game? Oh, Default Story.
Yeah.
Actually,
Bravely Default Story.
Actually,
I can lend that to you if you want to play it.
Ah.
Since I got Mario Kart, like, it just basically opened up more Nintendo games to get. I got Zombie U, which is pretty fun.
I heard that was really good, but I never ended up getting it.
See, that's the thing. Like, once you get your foot in, once you actually buy the console,
I have the
then
console.
like but you're a weirdo. The thing is, like, once you buy the console, you're like you already have it. It's a sunk cost.
Yeah.
You're willing to buy games for it because, well, what am I going to do with like a paperweight? If you're going to use it as a paperweight.
His PS3
Actually, mine's not a paperweight. It's a dust collector.
That's what it's same difference. But that's what I'm saying. Once you have the console, like, you're better off. Might as well buy these games, right?
Yeah.
I do own it.
Oh no,
So,
not according to Adam. He bought a PS4, hasn't touched the PS3 since, and will not touch the PS3.
Well, I will when like Kingdom Hearts 2.5 comes out.
Yeah, with Kingdom Hearts. Only for Kingdom Hearts.
Anyways.
Otherwise, you never touched it.
So I played more Wolfenstein this week. And it's fucking amazing. It's actually really, really good. Yeah, double stab.
We should just compile some of the things you say and put it in the back of like box quotes.
The penis cutter.
Wolfenstein is fucking amazing.
We could just take "It's fucking amazing" and just say any random game.
Any random game?
I wreck ass.
Adam, quoted by Adam. We could put it on the back of every game.
It's fucking no. Anyways,
on the
Wolfenstein is the phallic object that I was looking for to penetrate my mind.
Jesus,
what's wrong with you?
No?
Yes.
I think that's appropriate.
Anyways, it's actually really, really good. The thing is, I mean, it's okay. Look, getting this out of the way right away. It's just a first-person shooter. Like, seriously, it is just. It's got solid controls. There's no problem with that there or whatever. It's got cool lean like features or whatever. Everything's good. You could dual wield anything you want. Everything is there. It works. Okay. Now the story is pretty sick, and I actually feel more involved in this story than I did playing Killzone. And like Killzone was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing Killzone. The multiplayer was really sick in Killzone, but like Wolfenstein, I just feel like it's focused, right? There is no multiplayer. They focus solely on the single player experience. And right now, other than one filler mission, which was like the third chapter or whatever, is the only inconsequential part they probably could have cut out if they wanted to. But They left it in, whatever. I noticed that it kind of felt weird, but the rest of the game is super solid. The pacing is really good. Everything has a cause and effect in the story. It's like they do this because of that, and then it just kind of it just moves forward properly, like a story should.
Now, I'm curious myself. How do you feel expectations have played into your enjoyment of this game? Because you actually didn't have any expectations of the game. You actually didn't want to buy it.
Well, the thing is, I did have expectations. The first time I saw it, I thought this looked like a really cool arcade shooter.
But you had low expectations of him walking into Wolfenstein.
The only reason, it's not that I had low expectations. The only reason I didn't want to buy it is because I wasn't sure how much value I would get out of it because there was no multiplayer. It's an arcade shooter with no fucking multiplayer. And, like, it still kind of irks me, but, like, it's so good that I don't really care as much.
I kind of understand Adam's point because when you say arcade shooter, like you think of like a lot of, first-person shooter games that we played in the past that were just like very great with multiplayer.
Yeah.
Just think about all like Time Splitters. That's an arcadey shooter.
Yeah, Time Splitters we played so much multiplayer of that, but I don't even remember the single player that much.
Yeah.
Well, because
that's true.
I mean, I played them.
I played through it too. It's pretty funny, but I mean, the majority of our time was
multiplayer.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But this game, it's just. Okay, I don't know about my expectations. Like I said, I saw the trailer originally, and it looked really, really cool. And then it got on my radar a bit, and then, like, whatever, a couple months later, I saw it had no multiplayer. I'm like, wow, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Right? It got mostly positive reviews. There was a couple of mixed feelings, but I guess it's either you love it or you hate it. For the most part, people liked it, and it is actually quite fantastic. I would highly suggest anyone try it, because it's really good.
Wow.
It's actually a lot of fun.
Maybe they just didn't want another Unreal multiplayer, like, clone.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, it doesn't really feel like Unreal. If anything, it feels more like Doom or Quake because it's made from that same, the same engine and stuff like that.
So either one of those, I guess they just didn't want to copy it. Like they gave you Doom with it.
It was a beta, or whatever. But like I put the code in, and then it just went away, and there's nothing there. I guess the beta is not. I mean, I guess the demo isn't ready yet, or something. Eventually, in the future, it'll come out.
That's weird.
It doesn't make sense. I couldn't find it anywhere, so. It either isn't available yet, or I got gypped.
They literally just put a virus on your PS4, and you don't know it yet.
Yeah.
New order, bitch.
Yeah.
It's actually brainwashing you while you sleep. The light turns on, and
it's going to murder you in your sleep.
Yeah.
Like, wait, this game is based in, like, the 1960s, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't you call it, like, The Order 1966?
Yes.
Yeah, but what
basically it starts off like this starts off in the first couple of chapters. It kind of went in a way I didn't expect. I was expecting, like, Nazi killing in World War II and stuff like that.
Nazi sleeper cells or something?
No, it starts in 1946, but what happens is at the end of the first chapter, like, you're in this stronghold or whatever, and you end up escaping because you got captured inside of it, and you got some shrapnel in the head, and then you washed up on shore, and someone found you, and you were basically inside like a mental institution, comatose for 14 years. And then
Jesus.
Yeah. Then you wake up in 1960 and Germany, like, the Nazis have taken over the entire world. That's the setup to the game. Yeah, it's fucked up. I didn't expect it to go that far into the future, and I was like really surprised. And it's actually really good. No, I'm not.
I bet he's just crazy, and he's still in an actual mental institution.
It's lost.
No, this is just
nothing actually happens.
This is all just a dream, right? It's just all.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Speaking of dreams, though, you can fall asleep in one of the beds American in the base, and you go into like the original Wolfenstein game.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
one of the levels.
All the secret passages are still there.
Yeah.
And all the bosses are still there.
You can't really get that far. It's so hard. You just die so fast.
And it goes with the difficulty that you choose.
Oh, I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to mention also. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, and it's not that hard, but like on any hard difficulty...
Those bad guys, they just walk at you.
No. The thing is, none of the normal guys are a problem, none of the medium guys are a problem. It's the fucking gigantic guys that are the issue. And sometimes there's like 3 of them, and you have to hit them from behind. But they spin fast, and there's 3 of them in different directions. Like, it's fucking stupid sometimes. Like, it doesn't even make sense. I don't even know how it would be any easier on any other difficulty. I'm assuming it would be, but from my experience right now, it's ridiculous. Anyways. Sean, what have you been playing?
Wow. I've been playing Vagrant Story, which is a very old PlayStation 1 game. It is... I think it was lumped with being an RPG, although it doesn't really qualify in my... I guess there is
an action RPG.
It's an action RPG. It actually plays a lot like... I think it feels a lot like Demon Souls and Dark Souls in a lot of ways. You don't think about it immediately, but it's because it came out so much before it.
Yeah, the last time I played that game was before Dark Souls came out, so or Demon Souls even came out, so I would have never made that association.
It's essentially a very... it has like a very oppressive feeling to it. You play in this It's almost like a labyrinth-like dungeon. The entire game takes place in this
So
dungeon.
it's like a dungeon crawler.
You never played
Sort
the
of.
Vagrant Story?
have you
for the
played?
PS1.
Have you played Dark Souls or Demon Souls?
Of course.
You know that feeling, that oppressive feeling. That's sort of Vagrant
That
Story.
you have to be careful at every turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of that feeling where you have to be really careful at every turn. But like the actual combat itself is very difficult. And so the way that it works is that there are different types of enemies, and each type of enemy,
They have an affinity to something.
yes, your weapons have a base affinity to a particular type of enemy, and is very inefficient against other types of enemies.
Isn't like pierce and stab and
There's-
blunt?
Pierce, edge, and blunt.
But do you feel like you mastered the game once you've beaten enough enemies? Like once you've learned how certain enemies react and how they attack, or the strategies that you have to.
There is a skill element to it, which I can get to in just a second. Yes, but it's more of an RPG and less of an action game.
Okay.
So the mastery is in mastering the mechanics and implementing them.
You said the mastery is in mastering.
Yeah.
Anyways, the main difference between Demon Souls and Vagrant Story is the fact that, well, Demon Souls is an action game, right? And Vagrant Story is like it's almost more like Fallout. Like when you're walking, you can stop and freeze time, and then make your move, make your attack, and then continue time. Now the thing is, what he's trying to say is that they're both similar in like atmosphere and feeling.
Okay.
Not necessarily gameplay, but
In tone, it's also in a
It's
medieval
very
setting.
gothic.
There's a gothic feeling to it, yes, and the characters speak in sort of like a Shakespearean English to it. It's very mature. It's got a mature feel to it. And the combat itself, so just to get back to it, which I think is very interesting, as Adam had pointed out, it's sort of a VATS feeling to Fallout, where when you see an enemy, you click circle or whatever the action button is, and there's sort of a grid that sort of envelops your character, and you can select a part of the person's body to attack, and depending on the enemy, certain parts of their body is more susceptible to damage, so you do
Balls.
more damage to it,
Balls.
and it also affects the accuracy of your hits. And if you, yes, I was going to say, if you attack their legs, you can slow them down. If you attack their arms, you impair their accuracy, etc.
I was just wondering, how is Vagrant Story presented? Because you painted a really good picture there, but is it 2D?
It's 3D,
Okay.
entirely 3D. It's on the PS1.
but it's like vomit 3D.
Oh yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not terrible.
No,
It didn't
but
age.
it
It
didn't
aged
age
well.
well.
It aged all
I'm
right.
playing it right now. Well, you play it on the Vita, right? Which is like this big.
Yeah, it's
So
better.
of course it's
Yeah,
decent.
of course it's gonna look.
If
better.
it's on the big screen, it's all pixelated. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I can
But
show you after.
I actually like the PS1 era just because I feel like there was a lot of attention to a
It's-
lot of.
Yeah, I find that
No,
the
yeah,
PS1
exactly.
era was basically to jumpstart the whole.
Yeah.
3D.
But I think the PS1 era, the technology itself wasn't overly complicated, so they were able to generate really, really aesthetically pleasing games for their time. Whereas the PS2 went through sort of an awkward period. I think it sort of hit its stride. The PS3 struggled almost exclusively for RPGs, for example, but the climate has changed. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Going off topic. So when you're playing Vagrant Story, you have to constantly be mindful of several different factors at once. You have HP, MP, fine. You also have a thing called risk. So when you're attacking people, your risk will go up depending on whether or not you attack them consecutively, because there's no gauge, there's no active time gauge. You can attack them constantly, and they can attack you constantly. But if you attack them more than once, your risk will go up, so your accuracy drops, the damage you take goes up, but your critical hits also go up. So it encourages you to play smart with when you attack versus managing your risk. To complicate it further, enemies are particular types, and they're weak against different types of weapons. So blunt, pierce, or edge. Thank you. So let's say you're fighting a beast. You want to use a weapon that is good against beasts, or a weapon that you've been honing to become good against beasts, because whatever weapon you use has different affinities. And so let's say you're attacking a beast. The logic is that the affinity with that weapon, your mastery of that weapon, becomes honed to fighting beasts. So whenever you fight that beast, the affinity is going up. But the affinity for the other types of monsters, because you're not fighting other types of monsters, is going down. And so you have to master juggling different types of weapons that deal with different types of enemies, which is actually really cool. And to make it even more complicated, there's an experience gauge for each weapon, so you have to train each weapon so that when you master it...
It sounds like Pokemon.
It does.
A bit.
It actually, honestly, it feels a lot more like Demon Souls and Dark Souls in a lot of ways, I think, than Pokemon, because it's the weapon element to
Well,
it.
instead of
Pokemon is the weapon.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Instead
weapon.
of creatures,
Yeah.
you have weapons.
No, then yeah, I could see that, definitely. Actually, that does make a lot of sense. I retract my earlier statement.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
Could you just have a well-rounded weapon for everything?
That's
Mm.
Like,
what
could
it
you
is.
just keep it standard with
No.
everyone?
So
Because
Like, kill a beast and then kill one thing and then kill another.
the
so
really
you're
good thing-
talking about make a Blastoise that's super strong.
There you
Well, no,
go.
just
There
make
you
like
go.
an average
Or
one that's
dragon.
good at slightly, not great at everything, but good at everything.
the logic is, I see where you guys are coming from. The logic, I think, personally, is that let's say your Blastoise is only fighting against Fire-type Pokemon, but is never fighting against Air-type Pokemon. Or if it is fighting against Air-type Pokemon, then it's exhausted from fighting against Fire-type. Because there's an actual durability for weapons, so you have to be smart with how you use them. So if your Blastoise is using Water moves all the time on Fire Pokemon, it can't use Water moves against Flying Pokemon. And
But
if it
you wouldn't
is,
do that.
then it's not. It's always going to be 0 for everything. It's
That's
never
why
going to
you
become
give a Mega
proficient.
Punch.
But what's Mega Punch is not good against Psychic Pokemon.
That's when you have a ghost move.
But
Yeah,
you
but
know what
that's
I'm
the thing.
saying? Like the weapon,
weapon
itself is a
doesn't
weapon.
have-
It's not.
You have to
it's
change
not
all the
four
time.
weapons.
That's the whole
his
point.
weapon
It's-
has one
No,
move.
but-
His weapon only has one move, basically.
It actually makes sense to compare it to Pokemon because you need different Pokemon
Yeah.
for different situations.
Yeah.
You need different weapons for different
You just need one
situations.
dragon and it wins everything until the fairy shows
No,
up.
but there's certain
Fucking
situations
fair.
where you can
Yeah.
struggle with a Pokemon.
Yeah.
You can win, but it would be a
would be
battle.
harder, yeah.
It'd be harder.
Yeah.
But
Magic
from what
Card.
I'm telling, from what
Using
Sean's
Harden.
telling us, is that like each weapon is kind of like a move. It's like a one-trick pony. Like this one can only specifically do.
The way that
One
it
thing.
works, just to play it into perspective, normal enemies you fight, you can kill with whatever weapon you want because they're not strong enough to put up a challenge. But I'm actually at a boss right now that's it's an undead type. It's a golem essentially. That looks exactly like it would be from the Soul series. It has that sort of anyways. It looks a lot like it. So you're fighting a golem right now, which has such an enormously high amount of defense that it's only really susceptible to pierce, and a weapon that has become honed to fight undead types.
Mm.
I do not have a weapon that does this because I have not been.
Fighting undead.
I've not been fighting undead, but I don't have a pierce weapon that's strong enough to begin with. So now that I'm fighting this boss, I do not do damage to it, which is problematic. But there are other mechanics that play into it, so you can actually debilitate it so it's doing less damage to you, which I'm doing, but also juggling that by doing damage to it with magic. And so there's a sort of a strange element of there being a lot of agency on the player's part versus, giving you these, for argument's sake, giving you Pokemon, allowing you in the first zone to get strong against every single enemy you'll ever encounter. In this game, it feels like every weapon you get, you have to think about how it balances out with the rest of your weapons. And you can only carry 8 weapons in your inventory. Otherwise, you have to discard or disassemble because you can disassemble weapons and reassemble them. It's
So like Pokemon, you're
Yes.
bringing.
And that's
Yeah.
what the
Yeah, but I
Pokemon-
feel
You
like
change weapons mid-battle?
yes.
Okay, cool.
It actually, everyone here should play this.
Did they hint at like what the boss type is, or do you
No,
like you're just being a grass and all of a sudden
So
you'd
you'd have to start.
So, like-
No, they never do. That's why I asked. if
exactly.
you could
There's,
change mid.
it doesn't telegraph what it'll be, and the save points are the one thing. The design itself is kind of shoddy because the save points are sort of far enough away.
Well, I asked because if you have to specialize in a weapon to beat certain
Yes.
bosses, how would you know to kill undead to specialize a weapon?
Well, because you should be fighting undead with a particular type of weapon to make that weapon good enough.
But I'm
to
just saying,
fight
like, how would you know ahead of time? Oh, I'm going to run
You
into a
wouldn't.
boss.
You wouldn't.
That's what
You
I'm
just
saying. If they're not
prepare
hinting at
yourself
it,
to it.
is there any
Word.
detriment to using a weapon that's not great against a certain enemy? Like, does the stats of that weapon go down in favor of the enemy you attack?
Well, let me give you a perfect example. Let's say you start with your opening weapon that is -1 to every single type of enemy, which means you're
Shit.
actually losing damage output to that enemy by,
Yeah.
let's say, by a factor
why
of.
would you start with that? I'd look at it and just throw it away and use a stick. You'd have a
Because
better chance.
the logic is that you've never fought any of these creatures before because you're a human being and you didn't think any of these things would exist to begin with.
Possibly.
Because this whole environment is supernatural, you've never been exposed to it. You were good against humans, like the first weapon.
Okay.
Anyways, you're good against humans, you +1, -1 to everything else, -5 to dragons. So you could theoretically use that against dragons,
Mhm.
losing out on, let's say, 40 or 50% of its damage output, eventually get that to be good enough to deal 100% damage to it, but it'll end up dropping on everything else. And so yes, you can, but it becomes illogical for you to do that.
Yeah,
Although certain weapons that are weak against everything, you might want to select and then just go with that.
yeah.
Because there are weapons that have certain reach advantages too. So if you're fighting against a particular subclass, beasts, for example, which are typically more agile, you want to use something that has a range or something that's closer, depending on how you're going to be playing it, and just stick to these tactics while thinking about how your weapons will be upgraded in the long term. It's actually very complicated, but it's
Yeah, it's pretty
actually,
crazy.
and I thought it was very difficult when I played it like 7 or 8 years ago. It's actually the third time I'm going through it now because I haven't been able to get far enough in it.
I've played that game like 2 or 3 times already. Also, and
Is
I've
it
never
about-
gotten more
yeah,
than 2 hours in.
across
it.
them.
Basically, you guys are Far Cry from
Yes.
beating
Yes,
the game.
very Far
Yeah.
Cry.
It just, I find that PS1 games are, like, the way you're describing it, it's very complex.
Yes.
And I was describing, like, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was describing Oddworld
Yeah.
and how complex it feels. Like, it just crazy how these games don't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, it's
People
because I
are
think
lazy.
no designers streamline certain experiences. Some of those things just don't work together in the game. Like there are other things that I didn't mention that just
But-
don't. Had they streamlined it a bit and had they focused a little bit more, it might have been better. Who knows? But I mean, it is a very complex game. It's just nowadays they just changed their approach to
People don't have the
design.
attention span for that anymore.
No, but just imagine if an indie developer developed something like that today.
Yeah.
They could totally do it.
Dude, for sure.
It's just the attention span of people aren't that great anymore. They
Yeah,
don't-
but
they
as
don't
an
wanna
indie
get with
developer,
that.
you would cater to
Exhibit
a market
A.
like this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a perfect example.
Basically, yeah, like I have no time to like devote like
Yeah.
50 hours
Just to learn
to
the game.
just to figure out how to stab someone in the face.
Balls,
Yeah.
man. Balls.
All
Point
right,
to
Matt.
the balls.
I like face stabbing. It's kind of my thing.
Balls to face.
All right, Matt. What have you been playing?
Well, speaking of arcade shooters, I was playing Painkiller.
Painkiller?
Never heard of it. It's on Steam.
That's pretty good.
Came out in 2004, apparently.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
It looks really dated
Well, yeah.
for
10 years.
2004.
For 2004.
No, but like, that's like in the 20th century, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't think it looks that bad, especially on
It's
PC.
21st century.
Thank
Come on, let's be honest here.
Well,
But like on
factual,
a
right?
PC,
Yeah,
right? But
true.
it just looks not that great. But
No.
I mean, it's like totally arcade.
Who was it
shooter.
made by?
I have no idea. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, but anyways, I enjoyed it. You're fighting undead. Like it has such a shitty storyline to begin with. It's just like jumping everywhere. I don't even know how I got there.
So
Like you start off,
playing
you
it.
start off with your main character in a car with his wife. All of a sudden, it's raining. They get into a car crash, and then all of a sudden, you're just standing in front of a woman talking about killing demons. I'm like, how did it get here? It
Okay,
just
so
jumped.
what's the redeeming quality of this game?
It's actually pretty fun, and the music is awesome. It's like
The
heavy metal.
redeeming
Yeah.
quality is that they pay you to play the game.
Yes.
They gave you $5
It's
to
a job.
download it.
It's Polish, by the way.
It's Polish.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
shit.
Polish. But wait, where is it? People Can Fly.
What else did they
That's
make?
developers.
What else did they make?
Didn't they do?
Bulletstorm.
Yeah, they did
what?
Bulletstorm.
Gears of War, the
Gears
PC
of War,
version.
yeah.
The PC version, they
Yeah.
ported
And
it.
Gears
that
of War
doesn't count.
Judgment.
Yeah,
The expansion.
Yeah.
they're the
okay,
new
okay.
Gears of War people, no?
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
no, that's
Really?
Black Box. It's something else.
But yeah, no.
That's Vancouver. It's a Vancouver studio.
The actual fighting is fun. There's a bunch of unique weapons that you get, pick up ammo, all that. But just even the fighting, like you're just be wandering around like anywhere. All of a sudden, you'll get into a fight because the heavy metal music will hit,
No shit.
and you're just fighting.
So it's like fucking Hunter the Reckoning.
yeah, but it's so fast paced because everything's just running at you. There's ninjas,
Okay.
human ninjas instead
The
of
fuck?
demons. It's like the story's completely obscured, but
Okay, so the story's trash, but the game is like
It's
a
actually
seven
really
point
fun,
Warrior
yeah.
or something?
It sounds like
Okay.
Serious Sam, no, but like with a super.
I guess.
I honestly thought about that. I never
Yeah.
played Serious Sam, but I thought about
That
it.
is serious.
but it's cool. It's called Painkiller because your main weapon is literally like a giant handsaw that you can charge up and shoot out, and it goes in front of you and it just keeps spinning and it kills things and it comes back. Or you can use it like as a grappling hook and you can grab things, pull them to you, and then saw them with the thing.
The fuck?
Yeah, it's just like really random stuff, but it's fun.
That is pretty heavy
Because
metal.
it's just all arcade shooter. Like it'll
Okay.
box you in an area, you can't get out. But the main idea of it is all the bosses are giant fucking creatures. Like they're just
Really?
gigantic.
Okay, it seems kind of out of place.
Well, that's what you got to fight. That's the whole idea behind Painkiller. You fight giant creatures.
Okay.
Most
Come
of the
on,
time,
Adam.
most of the
Aren't
time
you
they're just
keeping
like
up with this
ghosts or
conversation?
skeletons or ninjas,
Okay.
and like literally they're dressed in black and they're throwing
It's 'cause
shurikens
it's-
at you.
It's
So it's
heavy
a
metal, man.
stereotypical ninja.
And then they have heavy metal in the background whenever you get into fights.
Interesting.
So you're just shooting it all over the place. Every weapon has two functions, and then
It's only single player, or does it have?
it has multiplayer.
It does.
Yeah, fighting.
I wouldn't even I wouldn't even want to know what the fuck that's like.
It's
then the
probably
back-
like Doom.
On the back of Painkiller, it says "fuck you, Wolfenstein."
No. But there's a lot of expansions. Like they have a 2, which came out recently, actually, Painkiller 2.
Yeah.
But in between that, there's like 4 DLCs and expansions.
Killer 2.
Which I have to
You
get
get this on like
My brother bought it
Steam
on Steam
sale?
sale or something.
Okay.
I don't know when. But it's actually a lot of fun.
when did the second one
Pain
come out?
harder.
Recently, I don't know when. Maybe a few years ago. 2010 at
Maybe it'll be on the Steam sale.
Yeah, I think it was already
Yeah,
on
it
Steam
was.
sale. Yeah.
Alriady, Painkiller too.
Who was it published by?
Action shooters, I think, when they were voting for stuff.
Dreamcatcher Interactive.
That was published by Axis Games. Which
Yeah, no, but there's a multiplayer.
Interesting.
And it's... I don't know what she was. Yeah, the soundtrack. They all have a really nice soundtrack just because it goes to heavy metal all of a sudden. Like, it's just really nice, peaceful orchestra music. All of a sudden, you
Oh,
get into
really?
a yeah, all of a sudden you get
That's
into a
like
battle.
contrast.
And they're all having a fight. They're coming for me. You get ready.
Jeez.
Or- there's a
Orchestra
film.
music.
There's a film.
Yeah, it's by Uwe Boll, no?
Oh God. Oh,
That
God.
man probably should die.
Yeah, he's ruined so many fucking movies.
Jeez.
All right, Brandon, what have you been playing?
So on the PS3 side, I've just been touching up with not touching up, but
You been
catching
feeling
up.
You've been
Yeah,
touching-
feeling up some Batman.
Yeah.
Him and
You
his
still playing that? How's
his
City?
pectoral muscles
Yeah.
and his
Arkham,
bat suit has like
which
a
Arkham?
nipple.
Gooch?
Yeah, his gooch.
Feeling his gooch?
Which
Um,
Arkham?
City.
Arkham Village.
Arkham Village.
yeah.
Okay.
Village. All right. Anyways, how
They
how
have
you
like
liking it?
construction workers and
Yeah, we're building the village
and
because we built this village on rock and roll.
All right. Anyways, how you liking it?
So far, so good. It's I'm getting more used. I'm getting the hang of it, basically.
Wow, how many hours have you put in?
Honestly, not that much. Maybe about like 2 or 3 at most.
Okay.
From last week. Yeah, so far so good. Nothing special. I guess it's because I'm playing it. It's a really old game nowadays, but like it's still like it holds its value. I mean, considering I paid nothing for it. But yeah, I think it's all right. Nothing crazy.
You don't sound too enthusiastic.
It's just that like it's a PS3 game, and I'm like all PS4 now, and I'm waiting for like
See?
yeah.
See?
It's just that it's not that. It's not the game itself. It's just that
No, it's not the game. It's just
you've moved on.
exactly.
I've had such a huge backlog for years and years and never gotten to it, and this just adds to my backlog. And I'm just sick and tired of the fact that I have a backlog. It's like Steam all over again. You know? On that
Just
note,
not as
With,
bad.
with the
Yeah.
summer sale that just
On
came out.
Yeah.
that note,
I've been
What
playing a
a-
bunch of Steam,
Oh, really?
sale
Okay.
games. Like I said, Guacamelee.
Oh,
Like
nice.
Guacamelee.
played
and
that.
Guacamelee.
That was like $1.50
It
or
was on
something.
like
Flash
$2.
Sale.
$2
yeah,
or
it was on
something,
Flash.
$2.
I bought it like in the morning of. And it was
Yeah.
like,
And I bought Rogue Legacy, so
Oh,
those are all
jealous.
there. I caught up. I mean, I kept on playing Hotline Miami for a bit.
Mhm.
You
But
have
yeah,
to put that down.
I can't put
You're
that
gonna have
down.
to put that
Dude,
down for
that's
other
the
games.
thing.
So good.
This is the thing about
Wait, what were we saying?
Hotline
Hotline.
Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Like Hotline Miami is a game based in the 80s about like the drugged up Miami, and then you realize this game feels like a drug. Like the more you play it, and then the more you're able to actually chain combos between like killing enemies, it just feels much more gratifying. It's literally a drug.
Yeah.
And to top it off with
Isn't
the
it
music,
figuratively a drug?
literally and figuratively.
With all the flashing lights.
Oh, yeah.
Serotonin. All right, let's get into a little bit of discussions. Brandon, see that thing about Google today?
No, what?
They're making a Fire
Oh.
TV equivalent.
Like the SD, they released it, like the
No.
SDK for it.
Oh, maybe no. As far as I know, there's no specifications, there's no price, there's no release date.
What was it called? Like Google.
They had no
Fire
name.
TV.
They
No,
don't
I'm
have
pretty
name.
sure it
Oh,
has a
the
name
Fire
to it. It's called Android TV.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I just
when I
discovered
saw
it today.
When I saw it earlier today, it didn't have a name.
Oh, does it have
Well,
the
the
big
Chrome-
Android logo?
The
Just come up on
Chromebox
screen?
works off Chrome, and you can install Android on it, I guess, if you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
wanted to.
So what's the difference between these two products then?
Just another thing going into the market, right? Because the Fire TV is not out yet, right?
I believe it is out yet.
Is
It
it?
is already out.
I just like to say Fire TV keeps reminding me of like Fire Crotch.
Fire what? Crotch?
Yes,
thinking of Amazon.
as in STDs to the crotch.
This is
It's
interesting. though.
Fire TV. I'm just saying, like the name isn't very appealing. What does that have to do with Android?
What is Fire?
Fire
It has
Nothing.
nothing to do with
It's
Amazon.
nothing to do with
Amazon.
Android. It's
Oh,
an
it's
Amazon
Amazon.
thing. It just
Yeah.
runs Android.
Amazon's
That's what I'm
line
saying.
revolves
Amazon.
around the word fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amazon
Fire.
though, it's like a forest.
Kindle,
The Kindle Fire.
Kindle
Kindle
Fire.
I
Fire.
didn't think about
It's-
Kindle.
It's a reading app, yeah.
Oh, I didn't think
Anyways,
Yeah,
so
see? Well, you wouldn't think of it. It just
So
No.
Google's coming out with their own. It's gonna run games. It's gonna stream and stuff like that. So I mean, like
Wow.
with Google behind it, because like now it's just because Ouya came out, right? And it was like the specific. It was a console for Android
They're
gaming.
failed.
Still
Then
exists.
Yeah,
It
it does,
totally
but
failed.
it's garbage. Anyway, so then the Fire TV came out, right? Now this adds more utility to it. You can stream TV like an Apple TV or whatever. But now it also came with that sweet ass controller, and you can play Android games on it.
That's
Now
not-
Google's coming out with something.
Yeah.
just more things to the market, but they all play the same Android
The
games.
thing
You
is-
can get these things on a tablet or a phone.
Only the big players will be able to last in this kind of market.
Yeah,
Like,
Google's fucking
Apple,
big.
Google,
Amazon's
and
big.
Amazon. Amazon is just a monster.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very underrated at some points, at least in Canada. But
That's you usually don't hear too much about Amazon.
I love Amazon.
I love Amazon too. It's a
I've played
great,
lot of crap
it's a great
from
website.
Amazon.
I mean, ordering stuff like I've
Mostly because they only push their own shit. They're like a crappy version of Apple.
Was that here? I hear more
Well, it's
about
not that.
Kijiji than Amazon.
it's not
What?
pushing their own shit, but rather I mean like their service of delivering stuff to your home.
Yeah.
Everything
It's
they
really
do
good.
is to reinforce their own shit,
Mm.
which is cool. But there's the Roku that's getting a lot better too.
Yeah,
The
Right.
Rokush?
and Roku is it's another player. It's a player
Really?
service, but I
Of all
think
the media players, it's probably the most versatile.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Roku.
it
Yeah,
has
I've
a
heard-
nice controller. You can use as a gamepad.
Really?
I've talked about it.
And on the
Good
remote
job.
control, one of the coolest features I've ever seen for a media player, on the remote control, there's a headphone jack,
Oh,
just
shit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can listen to your shit, like from the remote control, like via
The Bluetooth?
I don't know if it's Bluetooth. I think it's some kind of
Probably
radio.
is.
No, I think it's
Whoa.
more of a radio
It
wave.
would have to be. How would you get the audio to the controller?
Wait,
I don't know if it's Bluetooth or if it's
We-
like some bandwidth.
but we moved away from Amazon as going places to order online to what is
They do everything.
They
man.
make cell phones now. They make their
Oh, yeah.
tablets.
I feel like
Yeah,
such
they
an
really-
old
I didn't even
person
know
right
this.
now. I
They
can't
didn't
keep
even
up
know
with
that.
any of
They
this.
just- They just
Say what's
unveiled
on
their
this.
first cell phone.
Really?
It's running Amazon.
Yeah, I saw it.
What?
And it's running their own OS. It's not like
What? They don't have Android?
No,
They're
it's
It,
not.
running
it runs off Android.
Where have I
Okay.
been? God.
because I guess you could be right because I guess you're right because the tablets are running a skin of Android,
I can't remember what
but
was
they
special about
personalize it to like oh crap, they personalize it like crazy. So
I just thought Amazon was like eBay.
No, there was one
It's a lot
feature
more.
about it that they kept on boasting, and I can't remember what it was.
All right. Well, while you look that up,
Yeah.
did you guys see that thing Phil Fish said? That guy's fucking retarded.
yeah,
He
go ahead.
said YouTubers should pay developers royalties
Yeah.
for the content they produce with their games.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can almost see where he's coming from because I mean, what PewDiePie made like $4 million, and what does he make? He's making he does a lot of stuff. Anyways, I can almost see where Phil Fish is coming from, but at the same time, most of the time, especially in Germany, Germany has really, really crazy copyright laws. No YouTuber in Germany can make videos unless they have explicit written consent from a developer. So, I mean, half the time, somewhere in like a website or whatever, there'll be a Q&A where it says, yes, you can use our games as content. Most of these developers are saying, yes, use our game, use our fucking games to make content. If Phil Fish wants to say, you can't make videos of my games unless you pay me money, fine, you can do that. But he doesn't, you can't just go around saying everyone should fucking pay us because,
The thing is, that mentality is very backwards
Yeah.
because on YouTube, people are advertising for your game.
Well,
That's what it
Nintendo
is.
tried to
Yeah.
do that, and they had a huge backlash on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah,
tried
that
to
was
take down
bad.
a bunch of videos.
But at
and-
least they fixed it.
yeah,
They didn't
and now
fix
they're
it.
Now
like,
you can stream it.
The
now.
difference is that
You
Phil
have to
Fish
embrace
is,
this.
Phil
Yeah.
Fish, is that his name?
yeah, Phil Fish.
Is one person. Nintendo is a company that has stakeholders, that has a huge PR team that's like, guys, we have to pretend that we didn't mean this, even though Nintendo still means that. But now the public is just so upset over everything. Like this whole Phil Fish thing, I think he has the right to say whatever he wants.
Of course he does. But see, the thing is, as soon as he said it, and people started backlashing against
Do you
him,
know why
instead
people
of
do
trying to
that?
defend his point, he
Yeah.
deleted his Twitter.
Yeah.
He
No,
ran.
but what's even worse is he's just one guy who's made one indie game.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Give the guy
who
a
gives a
break.
damn?
Tried to make his
no.
He should go eat
Right.
a dick because he feels so self-entitled.
Yeah.
He's a fucking
He's
Let-
made
let's
one indie
God
game.
among
Let's
men.
take a step back. He tells people that people should pay money. I don't know what your argument is. Doesn't matter. And you are telling him that because of his opinion, he has to go and eat a dick. You are just as bad as he is.
No, but it's okay. No, it's just the way because he was very hostile about it.
He's hostile.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? He has poor social skills.
Very.
Well,
He
that's-
could probably just have reworded it and people will be like,
Well,
"Oh,
that's why
okay,
he said right
Most
away.
programmers are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're-
He's a
they're
depth
Well,
fool.
look, this is why he said right away. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, I said
just
that
don't try
before,
to
but-
make everybody do
You've
it.
seen-
you not
you've
realize?
He isn't. His
No, no.
voice isn't law. It's
No, no,
not like
but-
everyone should listen
No,
to
but
me
that's
because
what
I
he's
am the
saying.
voice
That's
of
what he's
God.
trying to push. He's
That's
trying
the
to
way
He's
he
not.
sounded.
He said
No,
one
Sean,
thing.
that's
No,
the
no,
way
but
he
You're
sounded.
insinuating based on his tone that he is saying
the
that.
thing is, it's not the first. You've seen indie
Of course.
movie.
Oh, I think he's an asshole. But I'm just saying that he's an asshole.
Well,
You
that's what
should
I'm
just
saying. That's why he said all of YouTube.
But
should
people
charge
are
it.
still entitled to their points. He says
Yeah.
something like that. You should just, first of all, not take him seriously. You are taking him seriously. You guys are more fools than he is.
How?
Because he's an idiot. You recognize he's an idiot. You're still
That's
taking his
true.
point as
Yeah.
valid. It's not valid. It's invalid.
I think we keep on judging him as a smart individual then.
Maybe
Yeah.
Whereas
giving him
I
too
mean,
much credit.
the
Yes.
thing, let's not deny the fact that Fez is a great game, but I mean,
Haven't played it.
the
Nah.
personality behind it kind of
I
reminds me.
missed-
It
I
kind
missed
of
the Steam sale.
it kind of reminds me of Kanye West because I love his music. His music is amazing.
No.
His music speaks volumes to me. The thing is, him as a person, I couldn't give a fuck about him.
Yeah.
I don't like his personality, but
Good
his
point.
music is to me like a very well done,
Yeah.
or music or album. All of his albums are great.
Fair
In the
enough.
words of Dave Chappelle quoting Kanye West,
Yeah.
I'm dope and I do dope shit. Bye.
All right, anyways, on to the question of the week. So I saw this thing on Kotaku. It was talking about, I can't remember who said it, but he was talking about like this eccentric like journalist or whatever that just, or maybe it was a designer. Anyways, he just comes out with these really insane ideas or these statements or whatever, and it's like half the time they're like, okay, yeah, sure, and the other half the time it's like, man, you're crazy. Just shut up.
Philip Fish?
Just shut up. No, someone else. Anyways, he was talking about, okay, so Alien Isolation, okay, the new Alien game. See, the thing is with horror games,
Is
when
it
you
out yet? Sorry.
no, it's not out yet. When you die, there's not really like whatever dying now in video games. You just kind of restart, right? He
Right.
was saying that there should be more of a penalty to death at this point in
Someone
time.
comes
Like,
finds you and
Like
punches
that
you.
one
Yeah,
game
no.
where you die and then you can't play the game anymore?
yeah, just delete your account. See, that's harsh. Now the thing is, what he said for Alien Isolation was that if you die, it should have a timer on the game where you can't play for a day. Right? So that would build the tension of the game because you wouldn't want to die because then you can't play, right? But at the same time, like in this game, in Alien Isolation, or even in Outlast, once you die like 3 or 4 times, you're like, oh, whatever, no big deal anymore. Sure, there are jump scares in Outlast, but I'm not as afraid at all in Outlast of just running around from enemies because, oh my god, if I die, who gives a shit? Because after the first few times, it's not that big of a deal. The same thing with Alien Isolation. Presumably, if you start playing, you die a few times, you're not going to care after a while. So it kind of loses half of its atmosphere, its allure, its tension, just because there's not really that much of a hefty fine for dying.
Just don't
right?
put checkpoints. Just make you start the game over again.
See, that's
That's
rough.
what games do.
That's what Outlast did, but that's only on the hardest
Yeah,
difficulty.
that's on the hardest difficulty.
If you die once, you restart from the very beginning.
So you could be at the end of the game
But
and
not
you could
play
die.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you can beat the game in like 3. You wouldn't do that the first time, but you can beat it in like 3
3, 4
hours
hours.
fast if you want. If you
But
like
see, that
know
also
exactly what
defeats
to
the
do.
purpose of having a mode where if you die, you restart. Because if you've already played through the game,
Yeah,
And
you
then it's
know
not even
everything.
scary to
it's not
begin
even
with.
Well,
scary anymore.
XCOM, right? The
Oh,
hardest
yeah.
difficulty on no saves.
Yeah, you
That's
lose
so
your guy.
punishing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
well, I
punishing.
played on Iron Man,
Yeah,
where
you
it saved
tried.
all the time.
You
Yeah,
try.
Iron Man on XCOM, which is a strategy game, is it saves after every turn. So you can never, let's say you die, you can't restart the battle because your decisions are always permanent, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
Wow.
So, anyways, the question
You still haven't
boils
played
down
through
to
But you haven't gotten far enough in
No,
Iron Man.
the question boils
it just
down to
hurts so much when the person dies.
Brandon was the first person to die in mine.
Yeah,
and
you
then his
can-
brother was the
You
second.
can name
person to
all
die.
your guys after anybody.
all your friends. Anyways, so the question boils down to: do you think dying in games should cause a stiffer penalty than they do right now? Because as it stands, like nowadays, dying means nothing in video games. But at the same time, like, what do you think would be a good version of this? Like, what do you think games should do? And like right now, basically, the worst you can get now is permadeath, and it's usually in Fire Emblem, in XCOM, in strategy games. You lose a character, he's dead forever.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen in
Roguelike-
single player games.
Roguelike games.
Roguelike games, yes. But I mean, like, that's part of the roguelike, right? That's also part of the strategy game. Like, you
No,
die, you lose your
nobody
character.
dies.
It's not the same as, like, a single player game. Another example they gave was, like, Prince of Persia, right? People, like, were blasting it because, oh, you fell off, and then, like, she caught you. No, not even the PS3 one, the cel-shaded one.
Okay.
Like, the princess or whatever would catch
Really?
you. From
That's
falling
amazing.
off an edge, she would catch you, pick you up, and bring you back up. And he's like, all right, you can't
What?
die. It's
What's the point of
impossible.
falling?
What?
She saves you. You
Fucking
can't
Superman.
fall. And people are like, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with this? But at the same time, if you just died and then you restarted in the exact same spot, it's the same thing. It just, you died and
Yeah.
you didn't
You
get
just have
saved.
a really
it's,
cool
the,
sequence.
it's the exact same thing.
It cuts out the pretense of there being any significance to you dying in the
No,
first
I'd
place.
rather him die, flash a little bit, and then stand there.
Why?
That a girl.
But it's arbitrary. The
No.
difference is being that one
No, but it's
reminds you
visually.
that you're playing a video game. The other
Yeah.
one's trying to keep you in the
It's just
loop.
visually. It's like in
Yeah.
movies too, right?
You
Whenever
are
see-
It's
dead.
like-
Well, you're not
it's-
dead because you can
It's
restart
like
from
Mario
those.
Kart. It's like saying you're still in the race. You can still move.
Which is to Enrico's credit. That's a very good point. You said that Mario Kart does so well as to keep you in the race. You don't
Yeah.
want to be like whoop whoop whoop,
Like,
and
I
you're
don't-
flashing and that stupid
It
thing
doesn't
is
feel
dropping.
frustrating. Like,
But
when
I'd rather
I'm
not have a
losing.
feeling of okay. Even if I fall, I won't technically lose because she's saving me. It's just a feeling of actually losing. Essentially, it's like, oh, you didn't lose. You're still doing good. She can
Well,
save
if you kept falling, it's not like she would lift you and make you beat the game.
No, but she
would
would
just
carry you and pick you back up.
But
before
see,
the jump. Yeah.
another thing that's funny is like I was thinking of Super Mario, right? Because okay, nowadays you have whatever Mario still has lives, right?
Yeah.
But when you
Including
lose all
the
of
zero
them,
life.
when you lose all of them, it just loads the last save where you have your lives again. You continue. In the original on Nintendo, you died, you restarted because you lost all your lives and there was no saves. So I mean, like, I don't know.
So we should
Back
revert
then,
back
though,
to
we had
arcade
no-
games.
Yeah,
We had no way to back up our games.
Quarters.
yeah.
So now we do.
See, that brings up a good
Quarters.
point. Like, death should just not be something that people should preoccupy themselves with unless it's a particular genre. Strategy games that benefit from it makes sense because if you lose one unit, that's fine because the game doesn't end. If the game ends, you typically restart the game.
Yeah.
Similarly, RPGs, death is kind of a reward in some ways because it allows you to understand, what you can do to go back. For example, in Vagrant Story, if I die, I'm going to actually know what the boss is now, to Matt's point. So
Yeah.
I will actually have that knowledge. I think that games should incorporate or play to the strengths of their genre. First-person shooters, for example, they
It's
couldn't
the
have a
Groundhog
permanent death.
Day effect.
Exactly, which some games actually touch on. I've played
Yeah,
games where it actually
It's
touches
like
on that.
Bioshock, the Vita Chambers.
What's that? Rogue. What's that game again?
Which one?
Rogue
where-
Legacy.
Rogue Legacy.
Yes.
I
Well,
love
if
that game.
There are games that will learn
I wanna
how
play that.
you play.
Yeah, it's coming out for
Even if you die and reset, they learn how you play and they will adapt.
The only explanation that I could possibly think of where death actually has meaning is if the game is itself procedurally generated. Roguelites are an example. Outlast is an example. Having first-person shooters where you literally are wiped of your understanding of the map when you die. So there is consequence because then you don't know if you'll be fighting off against a flamethrower guy when you walk through that door. You
Yeah.
don't know if that door will lead even to the next quarter. That's the only way in my mind that they can make a game fun without taking away from...
So it essentially comes down to what genre you're playing,
Yes.
Yeah.
more or less.
Well, I mean, that's because look at it. Someone poses a question which, on the surface, seems like it's that we could think about. But then, if you're actually looking at it, not as a consultant, but as someone who has actually some sort of a perspective on the question, they're not going to blindly answer it and be like, "Oh, everything." No, you have to actually look at how it benefits certain genres. Can it benefit RPGs? Yes. How? It has with permadeath.
Yeah, exactly.
Party
That-
members.
That's when you have multiple party members. If you're by yourself, permadeath just means you have to restart the entire game.
But see, sorry to touch
Yeah,
on,
that's-
but in an RPG where let's say the map doesn't change, you have to create consequence. The players die. In a game where you only have one player, how do you do it? You have to change the way that the game is structured.
Or you just go back again to old arcade style games, Contra. You
yeah,
got 3 lives, you die, that's it. Game's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Well, then
But
it
see,
just
that's-
assigns the value of a
Up,
life
down,
to
up,
a
down, left,
quarter.
right.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's the
That's
thing.
what I'm
In
saying, that's why I
arcade
said quarters.
games, you
Then use the
lose,
Contra code.
you waste money.
Yeah.
The Contra
Have-
code,
have a
the
credit
Konami
Well, there
code.
is this game I read on Kotaku that you only have, like, basically one life, and you have a minute to play it.
Oh yeah, I saw that today, but I
And then,
can't.
like,
I
you
didn't
try
actually
to-
look at it.
Get as much as possible.
What is it, the 30-second hero?
No,
No,
it's.
half-minute hero.
I guess it's something like that.
It's
but-
somewhat
Just
like
make a console that has a credit card reader on it, that you have to keep your credit card in it, and then every time you die,
that.
it charges
that's
you.
what-
not going to work well for, for us.
What that
For
person
us.
said for
Someone would
Alien
do it.
Isolations, he was talking about some weird cell phone game. It was like a racing game, and when you finished a level, whatever, it's like, oh, you can pay to race now, or you can wait 5 minutes and
It's like
or
Facebook
an
games.
hour and race again. The thing is, it's like it didn't even try to like feign any sort of interest into why it was blocking you. It just said, nope, you can't play unless you pay us or you wait. There was no bullshit. There was like, but you think they could have put some effort into it? Oh, they're fixing your car. You can
No,
either
not
spend
that.
money to get a better mechanic.
Why would you want to program something like that when you could just cut it short and just say, okay.
No, but
No, but what I'm saying is
Clash of Clans
most cell
does it,
phone
they're
games.
just like, we're building your house.
Yeah.
You can pay.
Now the
or
thing
you
is,
can wait.
what he was saying is, if Alien did that, where it's like you die, you have to wait a day, they couldn't possibly make you pay to
No.
continue paying because that would be bullshit since you're paying for the game.
Yeah.
But then to play to this argument, let's say the Clash of Clans argument, in Alien's Isolation, you're killed, you're not killed because then your main character can't die, assuming that there isn't different timelines at this.
That's why it
person
should start it over.
No, what happens is that you don't die. There's a scene where you are being dragged back to some sort of a safe point.
By
Where you-
who?
The alien.
No,
The
no,
alien saves you. He kills you.
No, he
And
doesn't
then
kill you.
saves you.
You
He's
could just-
dragging to its nest.
no. You could just as easily have a robot, a droid that would come out and drag you
Yeah.
back. You would be blinking, and there would just be a scene of you like being dragged back, and then you'd wake up in a bed. Where you, within the time frame, you can walk around the bed and maybe learn about the story a little
And
bit.
then
You
a
can't
chest
leave.
burster comes
Well,
out.
that
You
would
can't leave until you've recovered sufficiently to leave back
that
outside.
would be
Yeah.
quite weird because say you die 100 times and this happens 100 times. This alien is the most inefficient alien in the world.
Yeah, how does he
That
not kill you?
cannot kill you 100 times.
This comes to the point where like gamers should just shut the fuck up and accept the fact that they're playing a video game. Has anyone in this room or anyone in existence died and come back to life?
I have.
So we don't know what death is like to
I have.
begin with. So then why are people so preoccupied in video game? It's like this experiment where like mice become obsessed with like these
Jeez.
stupidities of.
The wheel.
I mean, I get that you want. I get that it contributes to meaningful conversation, but then you have to.
Realism.
Because then, how do you paint it? Do you paint it as like this monetization with this racing game where they treat gamers as adults?
Yeah.
You have to wait because this is a game where you didn't pay for it, and so we want to make money off of you. Or
Imagine if
we-
it said that.
Adam, you crash your
At
car.
least they're honest.
Exactly. You crash your car. You need to wait for it to be repaired because you're not playing. You don't even racing a car. This is code. This car could be repaired instantaneously because it's not a real car. But no, because you're a gamer and you're very sensitive, we need to disguise it as though it isn't really that you're waiting because we're encouraging you to spend money.
Sean's
it's because
so
we're
upset.
waiting to encourage you to wait for your
But it's
car which
realism.
crashed.
But it's realism.
It's a video game. There's
All
no
right.
realism
Yes,
in
it
any
is.
of it.
And that's what they
Anyways.
want. People want realism in their video games. That's what the whole Oculus
Is that why
Rift
they're playing Aliens Colonial?
Yes.
Because they want to play
Yes,
a
I
realistic
want
game?
to be
Oh, that's the reason I'm playing.
Alright, alright.
I wouldn't be Sigourney Weaver in those underwears
That's-
fighting an alien.
So
On
do
that
I,
note,
but for
that's it for
different
us.
That's my fantasy.
Like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on the Facebook, YouTube.
On Ouija. We just got a new app on Ouija.
The fuck is
Did you?
Ouija?
For the 12 people
No
that
fucking
know.
clue what he's talking
What do
about.
we... I didn't
Anyways,
even know that existed until Adam brought that up.
The
like
hell is
10 minutes.
Ouija?
the Ouya.
Oh, yeah.
Ouija.
Anyways,
Ouija.
check out the blog,
Ouija board.
gamerbasement.com, and catch you guys next week.
Catch you on the flip side.